Hello and welcome. It is that of the 9th of February 2018. My name is Derek. Welcome to the Money Charts channel. And let's quickly start off with the old fashioned buy low, sell high. But I'm going to make this really quick and not just keep on throwing lines in there, but talk about if you're trying to accumulate any kind of coin that you can trade on the market. What I like to do is whenever I sell what I own on it, then my buy order is going to be exactly for what I sell it for. So say I'm selling this for dollars. I buy at 3 and I'm looking to sell, say if it reaches 4 or 4.5, and well, if it reaches say 4, then I might look to buy it back at 3 and I'll be able to buy back about 33% more. And you just keep on doing that. So whatever amount of Bitcoin, Ethereum, or whatever, or dollars, or whatever base currency you're using, whatever you sell it for, that's the amount I like to buy it at the cheaper price. So here's a spot where there would be sell orders in play when you buy. Your buybacks, well, 3 you can see, and if you're selling at 4 in here, maybe you don't hit, and if you're able to get a situation of buying down there, just magnificent profits that come into play. There's spots where you'd be selling a bit at 4, but you're not buying back at 3. And when markets go way up, you could lose out on some overall gains. And right now the market is over about 10 times higher than this right now. But there's spots where extra sell orders up here would fill, and you buy it back down, and that means you would make more. So if you sold, say, at 549, we'll say, or even at 590, say you got a better sale. Oh, I want to buy this back where it came from at 4.5, and now you got more Litecoin. And then what you sold, say, at 5, you bought back at, say, 4 here. And then maybe what you sold at, say, 449, maybe you didn't buy it back because it was 350. Oh, but you got it back here though, and then you can sell it up there. All of the opportunities come into play, and when you get spots like this, there's a lot of profitability in here. When you have moves that go down like this and 4 days up, 1 day down, the volatility comes to an end after that. But lots of selling, lots of buybacks. Then you have days like this, and now you have monstrous moves that come into place. So sell order city, and you're filling them up, and now you got to figure, oh my goodness, it's going to come down huge when it's ready to. Oh, but it keeps going up, and you keep selling, and you want to have a strategy so that regardless of how much this goes up, you're going to you're enabling yourself to always be amazing on your portfolio. Maybe not as good as on a case of 4 going to 28 being about a 7x. You might be doing a 5 or 4x. But that's all fine and dandy. You're having amazing gains. But you're selling here at like 11.5. You're trying to buy back here. Maybe you sold some at 50. You haven't bought that back. You sold some at 20. Then you're selling some in maybe 25. Then you sell again at 30. And even all the way up to 37. And you'd be able to buy back some of it. If say your sell order at say 25, you're looking to buy back at say 16. Or at least we'll say 1622 was that one, or whatever. And you're going to miss some of them, but that just means some of the buys were able to come back. The market went up all the way up to the 46 mark, and then a lot of great selling up above here. Great buyback time in here in September of 2017. And just a little bit of choppy, non-volatile, not as volatile action. But then the market goes way up. Sell, sell, sell. And then some buybacks. Some selling, and then it goes down a bit, it goes back up, and we got some lines on the screen. They represent key Fibonacci points. We'll talk about them in a bit. But the market's moving in normal fashion, up and down, doing everything it's supposed to do. But now as we look at all these down moves, that means sell, buyback, all of the stuff sold in here that wasn't able to be bought back at the $100 lows, 110 even, were then able to when the break of support happened last summer. And now you're talking about before when the market went up about, say 40 times, 50 times, even greater than that your portfolio wasn't up anywhere near that. But as it's going down and you're able to buy a lot more, and like I state, when markets go up fast, you can play for big buy orders. So up in the first one, You're talking about going up to 36. Now you're like, okay, it's definitely going to go down to 10. Then it goes up to, say, here at 82. Okay, now it's going to come down here to like 20. Oops, no. Then it goes all the way up here. Well, now it's got to come back down at least to here, which it did. So therefore, what that means is you can aggressively look to place some of your buy orders so that some of the stuff that you would normally buy at 90 or say 130, you're going to wait to buy down here. Because if you're trading this aggressively, there could have been 40 different sell orders in here. And some of those sell orders you're going to buy back as it's coming down here. And some of those sell orders you're going to buy as it goes down to this line. And even some of them, even down to 32 even. So you can have one of your sell orders, say you sold, say, 3 Litecoin at 200. And for that particular trade, I want to put a buy order in for, say, 30. So now you can get 7 or 8 times more than what you sold. And then as the market continues to move, of course, it keeps going down. The only selling opportunities are small, 52 to 68, so just small short-term moves. And that is until now. It's just starting to get a little bit better. Just starting to. And as it plays, 63, what does this represent? Let's do weekly time frame, be better, I guess. Represents Fibonacci. 38.2% and 61.8. Therefore, if this area if this market goes further higher, then we'll probably go up towards this point here and then see maybe either significant resistance of some sort or a really fast move to 125. That's pretty much how it's going to go on that. And it's already made a move above the 18 against such. Now, for myself, looking back, and I need to show Bitcoin for such upon this, so let me just quickly put that on before bringing this back. And we're going to be scrolling this soon to the daily time frame. I was very convinced that this was probably going to go down to 3,000, at least at a much higher probability. Back, it was around the 70. I was stopped selling at 75, so it would have been. Which level would it have been? Would it have been in here? Because 75 was my man numbers, and I'm not selling on the way up on this, so yes, it would have been back in here. You can check the videos from that time. I even gave one about how to short Bitcoin or just different methods around this point because it was looking like, oh my goodness, it was starting to go down. So it was roughly at around this breakdown in here on May 22nd. So one of the mistakes I made, and really two, one, I didn't sell as aggressively on the way up, although I did. And two, I realized this was a good time using the technical analysis I learned from day 1 or day 50 or 100, whatever, on finding breakout and breakdown periods. And usually when you're doing breakouts, you're buying much higher than where the lows are, and breakdowns you're selling or you're shorting, however you want to look at it, much lower than where the high is. And I realized this was one of them back then. So what I end up doing is I end up taking Bitcoin and Litecoin and selling it on the market for, at the time, Tether, later turning it into the true US dollar. And I waited a long time, of course, because of this type of pattern. And it never did go to 3,000. It never did. It went to 31 change. So pierce above, ha ha, as I would often say for those who miss buy and sell orders by a fraction. And it really isn't that funny, but I gotta laugh it off as it is. However, I still sold at different times here and there, bits and pieces. And I pretty much only bought Bitcoin. And then I did things with Bitcoin after that. So therefore, I was able to get good deals on what I bought back, obviously from what I had sold. I mean, obviously other markets going down and holding was not good, and I should have sold more. That was the mistake that I made. I sold about 20% of the Litecoin that I should have. I should have sold 4 times more, ish or so. maybe even additional 25, 30% more Bitcoin that I sold, maybe 100%, 200% more even. Should have been a bit more aggressive because I had the funds to be that aggressive. And I regret it, but you know what? That's fine. You understand, okay, it's almost like that old, we'll tell us motivation. Oh, how'd you do in school today? Oh, I got an A. Oh, you didn't get an A plus. Or how did you do in hockey? Two goals and 2 assists. That's it. You didn't score 4 goals. And I say that on a true realistic level, that regardless of how you're doing, whether it's outstanding, average, or poor, what could you have done to do better? And that's what I always have to say to myself, because I can't reverse what I did in the past. And however, I can see how things go. How do I want to play that situation as it is? So let's go back to Litecoin. And obviously within this, having the spectacular move just recently, starting to slow down just a little bit, but still hanging in there amongst a lot of these other time frames. 4 hour hasn't even came down to that yet. But what I had done about, what day is it today? The 9th, so probably around the 4th and 5th. And these days here, basically when I was in the mid 30s, I ended up buying a small amount. I'm just trying to do a percentage of my 7% of what I already owned. So I increased my Litecoin portfolio 7%. So I didn't buy much. And then about an hour ago, I ended up selling about 35% of what I bought just now. I took it from my hardware wallet and I turned it into the true US dollar. And I have it in a buy order, or a sell order rather. So I sold it, and I'm looking to get in at around 2,400. Now, the reason why I sold about 30% of what I bought was because I watched a JSNIP4 video, and he said he talked to a guy who says it's going to go down. And, well, I mean, it could. It very easily could. I mean, that's the reason why I'm doing this. I mean, it's breaking out nicely above the 18. And I'm going to be looking to sell better at the 74 number. I got this now in the Bitstamp one. But that 74 level is where the next selling will come into play. But throwing that part aside, if some guy, I guess back in here when it was like 32 or whatever number, it was time to sell. Not when it broke down here or any of these other points, and definitely not on the way up. But apparently that was the time to sell, because it was going to go lower and have another leg lower, which to me is equivalency of about 24 to 2,600 Bitcoin. And if that happens, I got to presume that that's probably going to be the case, that this is going to fail above this. We're going to have weakness. If weakness comes in around 29, I don't like the chances of much support here for another leg. I mean, it could find support here. And it could even be much lower, who knows, but it's probably going to be lower though. So therefore, I would think about 2,600 Bitcoin. And therefore, what I do is I take a calculator and realize I want to play a conservative point around my 2,400 level. So I'll go 2,600, 1x that. So around 38,000 or so is where I want to put a sell order in for TUSD. I've increased my TSD portfolio just a small amount within doing such. But that really is the plan moving forward. Whenever I hit a key point, first one's 74. And then this one up here in this level of resistance. And then another small one at this level high here. And then I start to get very aggressive, but only a little aggressive, as we reach the $1,000 barrier. And so on and so forth, with each level after that getting more aggressive in the sell strategy. So that is how the plan for such is. But because I watched the video and that I bought 30 or so percent in dollars, not 100%. I would have normally, I could have done 3 times more, and kind of maybe I should, but I want to see how this plays out first, and thank you for tuning in. And this is a nice pattern. However, it's just barely getting above the 18 of highs on the weekly. On the daily, this type of move in here, how this correctionary move works. This is the key areas, and that is massive to say the least. And I don't really want to see much action in here. If it goes here, fine, but I want to see where it holds and stays above it, where it resists it for only 1 or 2 or 3 periods, and it manages to get back above it like that. And that's, of course, if we don't have much resistance, or we have a lack of gains moving forward at this time frame. Thanks for tuning in, and have yourself a great day. Bye bye.